This tutorial is going to show us how we can get information in from TouchOSC application and route it to different locations to control different things inside MaxMSP. This tutorial assumes that you've already read through the PDF tutorial about how to set up a network on your desktop or laptop and take the IP address from that network and enter it into TouchOSC so that the computers so that the devices can communicate. It also assumes that you've watched the TouchOSC editor video tutorial to create a control service and surface and name it, and upload it to from your computer to your iPad or iPhone in TouchOSC. So if you haven't watched those yet, please watch those first, because this will only work if those are already set up. So in order to get data in from TouchOSC, there's a special object that we can use called udprecieve. And what we need to enter as an argument into this object is the port, and I have used 8001 as a port. So to view what messages are coming in, we can connect the message box up, or connect the udprecieve up to the right inlet of message box. And now I'll press the buttons and the sliders. So you can see there's button 1 that we had created in the OSC editor, TouchOSC editor, button 2, button 3. And you can see when I press the button down, it shows me which button, named button is being pressed down, and it also gives us a 1. So so it's basically a 0, 1 data, and those are the 3 different buttons. Then the sliders, you'll also see when I touch a slider or a fader, it will give the name change or a fader, it will give a continuous value range. So basically the slider on TouchOSC is giving us a range from 0 to 1, and we can scale this in a second. So it's helpful to keep this message box here so that you know what, rather than having to go back and check on the TouchOSC editor what you name things, you can tell very easily what you name things just by pressing them, and the data will show up there. But in order to get this routed in to a location that we're going to use this data, then we need to use an object called route. And basically what route does is it looks for arguments that are coming into it, and based on those arguments, whatever is after that argument, it will send the data out related to that argument. So what we want to do is we want to type the path and the name of the control object in TouchOSC into route. So here we would type /1/button1 and /1/button2 and /1/button3. And then also, if we look at our faders and what are the faders are named, so /1/fader1 and all the way through 4. So /1/fader1, and I'll just oops, did that backwards. So I can just copy this and then paste it. Space, paste 2, 3, 4. Okay. So now we can hook up buttons to the first 3 because we're going to see those basically be able to turn on and off buttons, because it's just a push button 0, 1. And for the faders, we can use the gain tilde object. Just make sure you connect it up to the left inlet here. And I'll just use one for now because we have to add something to that. Okay, so now if we connect up our route object with all of the different paths that we have that we want to route our data, now when I press button 1, you can see it is button 1 and it has lit up this button. And if we put a message box onto the output of this, what we'll see, the only thing that's coming through there is a 0 and a 1. So that's making our button blink, and the same thing with 2 and 3. So now this is the same as what you had worked with before on the computer keyboard with the ASCII code and the key object. Now we're just basically doing the same thing, but we've routed that same control in from the iPad. So the fader, we should see the fader come up and give its data stream. But the difference here is that this fader in Touch OSC is scaled from 0 to 1. And if we click on this gain object and go to inspector, which is where all the particular data is held for this, it's asking us actually for a range of 158. So it's breaking it up to 158 different steps. So basically, the fader's not moving because it's only going to 0 to 1, so that's barely even moving anything in the range, and basically not moving visually. So we could do one of two things. We could change this to a decimal point, but it wouldn't make sense because it's really looking for integers. So what we have to do is we have to add an object called scale, which we talked about in class. And what we want to do is we want to give the scale range of the range of the data coming in from Touch OSC. So what you might think is, oh, it's going from 0 to 1, so we can just put 0 and 1. This is not useful because it's a decimal, it's a floating point that's coming in, so it's a decimal point. So we have to add a point after each one so that it knows that it's a decimal. Now it will read all of the numbers to the right of the decimal point that's coming in. So that's our range coming in, and then we want to scale that up to a range of 0 to 158. And what this will do is it will take care of the discrepancy between the data scale in Touch OSC and the data scale for the gain object. So now if we use that fader, we can see it's controlling the full range of that. So that scale element is very necessary, and this is why it's in routing and mapping data, scale object will be one of your best friends to get it to do a lot of different things. So, or kind of communicate between data streams that are scaled differently. So now we have four faders that now can be controlled in Touch OSC. So you can see that I'm moving them up and down, sliding my fingers up and down on the faders. So this is another very useful object to be able to work with. There are other type of fader things, one that's called a rotor, which is basically a circular fader. So there are different possibilities for control.